And we'll go ahead and get going. So starting seated. So Amanda, you've done yoga for a little while.
I started here a year ago.
Year ago. Who was
And
teaching here?
Mary.
Okay.
And then, but since COVID, then not since then, so it was almost, we didn't get quite a year then all that happened.
Yeah, that
And I'd
it
never done it
changed
before then.
so much.
I know, yeah. But then I did some at home with stretching and just using more of the practice time that's necessarily the moving.
All right. Sabrina, you're new. Welcome. John, okay, I'm determined to remember names. And I remember Sabrina. How long have I known you? Long enough. So Sabrina is one of the very few friends that I will get up to meet for 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning breakfast before work.
that's
So,
nice.
Same.
yeah, one of those special things. So, yeah, but you don't know about my corny jokes during yoga. So she busts out laughing, that's why. I know you're taking care of a knee, pain-free range of motion, whatever we do, if it hurts, stop.
Yeah, I'm already on that.
Already on that. Okay. And we're good down here? I think so. All right. So we will start seated. And sometimes it can help your hips a little bit to sit on a block. That's entirely up to you. So not necessary, but if you have a block, move the upholstery out of the way a little bit so that we're sitting right on the bottom of the hip bones. And by elevating the hips, we let gravity work with us. The knees drop a little bit lower. We can cross the legs however is most comfortable. And if that means we need to be a little further out or even bring the soles of the feet more together, whatever works. Letting the knees drop low, letting the hips relax, closing the eyes, and sitting nice and tall. So when we're sitting on the block, it's easy to tell when we're sitting a little tilted forward or when we're sitting a little too far tilted back with the hips. So if we need to, we can readjust. We want our hip cradle to be very solid, straight on block. And then from there, we lift our pelvic floor up, off the block, up into our abdominal cavity. At the same time, breathe out, we push the belly in just below the belly button. We stack each vertebrae, one on top of the other, lengthening the spine. Letting the arms relax at our side or on our lap. Letting the crown of the head reach to the ceiling. Noticing if our ears are forward of our shoulders. Sometimes we tend to jut our head forward, so let's bring the ears back. So the ears rest over the shoulders, which are over the hips. We lift the heart, lifting the chest, sitting taller. Giving ourselves permission to let go of the distractions of the day, the worries and concerns that we may have been carrying around with us. We can let them go. And give ourselves permission to focus on ourselves, whatever it is that our body needs in this moment. So whether we're brand new to yoga or we've been practicing for a while, every day is different. We carry different things into the day with us. So wherever we are, listening to our bodies, being kind to ourselves, and moving in or out of poses as our body tells us it needs more or less, or maybe even a rest. So turning our focus inward for a moment, finding our breath, and noticing how our body moves when we breathe. We want to calm our shoulders, calm our neck, and allow the belly to expand with our our breath. So if it helps, we can bring our thumbs to the bottom of the ribcage. Spread the hands and let our pinkies try to touch the top of the hip bones. Let the shoulders rest down and back. And as we breathe in, we feel the belly expand, the ribcage expand, opening up. And as we breathe out, we feel the ribcage and the belly close in, the hands move closer towards each other, maybe touching. Breathing in, we feel the expansion in our belly and ribcage. Breathing out, pushing the air completely out of our lungs. And then finding our breath, letting the air expand, empty, while the chest and the shoulders stay calm. So breathing into the belly. Focusing on that breath, trying to pace the length of our inhale to match the length of our exhale. So maybe a 3 count in, 3 count out, or wherever our body is, wherever our breath capacity is. And making a mental note that when we get to a point in a pose where we find we're wanting to hold our breath, we're focusing on it that much, that we find we want to hold our breath, but we want to turn back to this deep, smooth, even breathing for our focus while we're holding our poses. So start moving with our breath, turning our palms to face the front. Arms at our side. Let's inhale, reaching long through the arms. Bring the palms together overhead. Pressing the palms together as we exhale. Bring the hands to heart center, keeping the chest lifted, the spine long. Pelvic floor lifted, our core still engaged, and moving and breathing. So whether we had a 3 count or a 4 count or something else, full inhale to the top, full exhale. As we empty the lungs, bring the hands back to the heart. Reaching our arms as long as we can. And one more this direction. Coming to heart center, we can stay with that direction if we choose, or we can reverse it, bringing our forearms and our elbows together, feeling a little stretch on the back. Inhaling as we lift as high as we can, and then opening, letting the arms come behind us a bit, feeling stretch through the chest. Still keeping our core strong. Inhaling as we lift, exhale as we open. Opening wide, bringing our arms to our side, turning the palms to face each other behind us, like we're holding a beach ball, pressing into that beach ball, lifting the heart a little higher, letting the shoulder blades walk up to the back a little bit, relaxing the neck and head, feeling that stretch through the front of the body, and releasing the hands, letting the rest on the back. So moving into a twist, moving with our breath. We inhale tall as we exhale, starting from the belly. Let's twist to our right. So belly, rib cage, shoulders, neck, and head twist. Inhale back to center. Exhale, twisting to our left. Going only as far as our body allows. Letting the shoulders sink low. Inhale, center, moving whatever your pace, your breathing, whatever your breathing pace is. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. The arms are just along for the ride. They just make it look pretty. We're not forcing ourselves into the stretch. And lean one more to our left. And back to center. Rocking forward, coming onto our hands and knees. Now if you need a little extra padding under the knees, you can always roll the mat, fold it onto itself, so you have a little extra cushion under the knees. So coming onto our hands and knees, hands directly under the shoulders, tops of the feet pressing into the mat, the knees directly under the hips. So we're making a nice little square with our hand to hand, to knee to knee. Flattening the spine, pushing the belly button up, lengthening the spine. And if you've been my friend for any length of time, you know I adore coffee. So we're going to think about placing a nice cup of coffee right on the back. And we want to keep that tabletop position nice and steady so we don't spill the coffee. So if we need to stay here and focus on engaging the core, pulling the pelvic floor up, pushing the belly button in, that's okay. Next option, we can extend the right arm and or the left leg. So fingertips and toes can remain on the mat, or we can lift as high as the shoulder and the hip. One or both, or none, wherever we need to be, whatever combination works best for us. And coming back to our starting point at tabletop, inhale as we lift, switching sides. So maybe we can extend the right arm all the way, maybe we need to keep the left toe down, and back to center. Wherever our body needs to be. Moving with our breath, keeping that core nice and strong. Inhale, lifting. Exhale as we lower. Moving and breathing. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower. And if coffee is not your beverage of choice, especially this time of day, put a glass or a cup of whatever you would prefer. If that helps you visualize keeping that nice, long, strong back, nice tabletop. So as we lift and extend, we want to try and tap the wall in front of us and point our toes down and touch the wall behind us with our heel so we feel the full extension of our limbs, moving with our breath. And one more each side. And then coming back to tabletop. And moving into cat-cow. So as we exhale, let's round the back, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, look at the belly, let the head relax down. Push the floor away from us with our hands and our legs. And as we inhale, pull the tailbone to the wall behind us, pull the heart to the wall in front of us, lengthening the spine. Gentle dip. So this is cow. Exhale, rounding, tucking into cat. And moving and breathing. Inhale as we lengthen into cow. Exhale as we round and tuck into cat. Coming back to tabletop, stepping our left hand out in front of us a little bit. Let's take our right hand out to the side, palm facing down, and let's thread the needle. Nice fancy name for this one. So we're going to kind of scoop our right arm underneath us, palm is now facing up, we slide it, reaching, turning, to reach towards the left wall, and at the same time we sit back onto our feet. We feel that stretch right behind the right shoulder. We reach the left arm as long as we can. So we can keep this a static stretch. Breathing into it here, or if we need a little bit more loosening up before we settle, we can inhale back up to our tabletop, arm out to the side, and exhale, make it a moving pose. Exhale as we sit and return and reach. Inhale as we come back up to a level spine. Exhale as we sit and reach. So your choice. Move with it with your breath, or just sit into it and hold it for a couple more seconds. And then coming back up, let's switch sides. The right arm is out in front of the shoulder a little bit, the left arm up to the side. Palm is facing down, and we thread the needle, scooping the hand underneath us. Palm is up, we reach to the wall towards our right. At the same time, we sit back onto our hips, reaching the right arm even further forward. Nice stretch behind the left shoulder blade. So again, we can stay here, holding the pose static, breathing into it, or we can move with our breath. Inhale as we lift, coming back up to our tabletop. Exhale as we sit back into the pose, and moving and breathing. Back up to tabletop again. And then sitting back into child's pose. The toes coming towards each other, the knees as far apart as we need for comfort. And having a seat back, we can rest our head on our block, on stacked fists, stacked forearms, on the mat itself. Wherever we are, child's pose is a beautiful rest pose. So as we settle, we let gravity do the work. We're not trying to force anything. We just notice where our body is in this moment. Celebrate the fact that we can get down onto the floor and curl up like a child. And yes, you will get back up if there's any question in that. And we breathe into that space so the belly expands with the breath. And as we exhale, we find our hips softening a little bit more, our chest sinking a little bit lower. We find ourselves dropping a little bit more into the mat. So child's pose can be substituted for downward facing dog. And if I forget to cue that reminder, and you need to take child's pose in place of downward facing dog, please do. Please do. Options are always a good thing. Before we go to down dog, let's reach forward again. Looking up between our thumbs, reaching long in front of us. If you've ever watched your dog or your cat stretch, they put everything into it, full extension. So let's learn from them. Nice long stretch. And then as we inhale, push the tailbone forward. Power with our abdomen. Let the core do the work, pushing us into a modified plank. So the knees are down. Pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. And let's bend the elbows, facing the elbows to the wall behind us, coming all the way down. And then sliding the elbows under the shoulders, forearms resting in front of us, hands, fingers spread wide, hands pressing into the mat. So flat on the belly, legs long, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. So Sphinx. First option in place of Cobra or upward facing dog. And when we're going into some of these back extensions, spinal extension poses, it's not about how far up we get. It's about letting the strength of our back support us where we are. So if you need to stay here, protecting the spine, extra support, that's perfectly okay. You want to push the belly button up into the spine, like I just popped an ice cube under your belly. You lift it up. But we also want to pull the pelvic floor up into the abdomen. So we're trying to make a ladder sandwich, for lack of a better visual, like my corny jokes. So pelvic floor muscles, belly button, smush them together so that you're not sucking your gut in, but you're engaging those core muscles and pulling them in to support that low back. So we lift up only as far as the strength of our back allows. Now, if we take the arms out of it, you go from Sphinx to Cobra. Hands can rest at our side, but we're not supporting ourselves with the arm. So nice, long, beautiful scoop of the spine. And then exhale, let's push back and into child's pose, rounding out that low back. So Donna, you mentioned you sit at a desk, or you used to sit at a desk all the time. Anything to open the chest like that is going to greatly benefit you, because I've sat at a desk before. Yeah, it took a little while to unwind from that.
Yeah.
So, all right, next option. I think I saw you doing, go ahead.
Are you saying the Sphinx and the opening for the chest? Us, those of us that sit at the
desk?
computer?
And either option, Sphinx or Cobra, just
Okay.
because you're getting the rounding out of the back.
Yes.
And you're lifting up with the heart and pulling forward. So even if we're not getting the shoulders moved back, you're still getting the heart up.
But that
Rather than-
those two. Okay.
Yes. So as your strength and your flexibility develops, I think you were doing upward facing dog last week. Did I see you doing that?
But me.
So that's the next option up. So first option, Sphinx. Second option, Cobra. Last option, upward facing dog. So the hands directly under the shoulders, the tops of the feet pressing into the mat, core is very strongly engaged, thighs are just above the mat. So either of those three options, and I'm not sure which I will remember to cue. So wherever you need to be, that's perfectly fine. There's no wrong way to do this. Focus on keeping the core engaged, pelvic floor lifted, belly pushed in, strong support through the core to help support that low back. So we're not bending the spine, but we've got that beautiful swoop of that spinal extension and the heart lifted. Clear as mud. We good down here? Awesome. All right, so let's move through a little bit of a flow that will transition into our sun salutation. So, from child's pose, inhale into our plank. We can keep the knees down, or we can come onto our toes. Exhale, crocodile, halfway down. Inhale, drop the hips, pull the heart forward, flip the toes, so we're coming into Cobra, Sphinx, or upward facing dog, whichever option our body needs. Exhale, pushing back and into child's pose, or downward facing dog if we're ready for that. Moving again with our breath. Inhale, plank, knees down or up. Exhale, bending the elbows, we come partway down, crocodile. Inhale, drop the hips, lift the heart forward, Cobra, Sphinx, or up dog. Exhale, pushing back into child's pose. Downward facing dog, if we're ready to take that option, we curl the toes underneath us. We lift the hips so that we're sending our hips up into the air, the legs are straight, beautiful upside down V as we bring the ears between the arms. Still keeping that core engaged, whether we're in child's pose or down dog, let's inhale, plank. Powering with our core to get us there. Exhale, crocodile. Inhale, cobra, sphinx, or up dog, whichever option you need. Exhale, pushing back, down dog or child's pose. And last time, inhale, plank, knees up or down. Exhale, crocodile. Inhale, cobra, sphinx, or up dog. Exhale, down dog or child's pose. If we're in child's pose, let's go ahead and pop up into down dog. If we're in down dog, let's notice what our shoulders are doing. Are they sinking towards the mat? Are they rounding into our chest? Let's engage the back, bring shoulder blades towards each other. We feel the back of the shoulders go a little bit wider. We push the floor away from us with our hands and with our feet. Feel a little more steady perhaps. And then let's walk our feet to join the hands, bending the knees as deeply as we need to. Bringing the feet parallel to each other, hip distance apart. The bottom of the ribs to the top of the thighs, so we drop the butt a little bit if we need to, so we can support the low back, the thighs and the rib cage hugging each other. Let the shoulders come more onto the back, so the arms may be more at our side. And then as we exhale, push the floor away from us, pushing with the feet as we come up to standing in mountain. Everybody okay? Not seeing stars? Everybody good? All right. So from here, let's warm up the hamstrings a little bit. Trying to get far enough from the iPad that when I'm standing, you still see me and not just like from waist down. So still figuring this out. Thanks for humoring me. So at least here you get like, at least like cut off at the neck, but that's okay. All right, so let's warm up the hamstrings a little bit. If you have your block handy, we'll use that for a little bit of support maybe. Depends where you're at. So right now we'll just set it in front of us. So we want our feet parallel, hip distance apart, so right under the hip bones. We want our feet settled. Lifting the toes, pressing the ball of the foot, the heels, down into the mat, lifting the arches of the feet, spreading the toes, letting them rest gently back down. Continuing to lift through the body, engaging the muscles in the legs like we're hugging bone, firming the glutes a little bit, pelvic floor engagement, core engagement, shoulders down and back. So the block is a little bit in front of us, if we've got that. So think about aiming for the block with the space between your sternum and your nose, not your head. Because if we aim with the head, we're going to have a rounded back. So think about the head going towards the wall in front of us. And somewhere between here and here, aiming towards the block, and the hips going back, we're going to keep that nice long spine. And we're not going to have the rounded back, no matter where we have our arms. So if we think about the head going to it, we're going to be here. We want to be here. That makes sense? So a little bit of visual if that helps us. And if we need the block to bring our hands to it, to help us kind of keep that alignment in mind, that's perfectly fine too. So wherever we are, from mountain, let's lift our arms up as we inhale. Exhale, send the hips to the wall behind us, coming into our forward fold. As far down as the hamstrings allow, long through the spine. Inhale, push the floor away from us. And continue to move and breathe. Exhale, fold. Hello, hamstring. So yours talking to you? Inhale, mountain. Exhale, fold. Inhale, mountain. And exhale, fold. If we have a block handy, let's go ahead and bring our hands to it. We can adjust the height if we need to. So keeping that long spine, the strong core, let's bend the left knee and straighten the right. As much as our body allows, feel that stretch up the back of the leg, side, even into the glutes a little bit. Bend the right knee, straighten the left. So we're keeping the heels flat. Feet are still side by side, parallel, little space in between, they're hip distance apart. And we're just walking it out. So we bend one knee, straighten the other. Hamstrings feel a little looser, starting to wake up. And bending both knees. Bring the ribs to the thighs again. Lifting our toes, are we settling into the heel or have we been like gripping with our toes? So settling into the heel, back of the foot, we can set the toes back down. Let's bring our hands to heart center. Right now we're facing the floor. Let's keep the knees bent and unhinge from the hip. So we're lifting as if we're sitting in a chair. And it's a beautiful name of this pose, chair. Also known as public potty hover. Feel the quads side up, nice and strong. So exhale, hinging at the hip again into our forward fold. We're letting those quads release, letting the hamstrings stretch, setting the block out of the way, and inhale, push the floor away from us coming up and into the mountain. How are we feeling? Hamstrings a little happier? A little? How's the knee doing? So far, so good. Awesome. So we're going to do a very slow sun salutation. And we're going to incorporate a lunge into it with a couple different options, just for some more stretching in the hip and just kind of breathing into the space and just kind of seeing where our body is and what we got going on. So that you just kind of explore, find out what's up. So keep the block handy in case we need it. It's a great prop. And we'll start by standing in the front of the mat. So closer to the front because we'll be stepping back into our down dog. So solid mountain. Inhaling nice and full. Exhale, hinging at the hip. Bending the knees as much as we need to so we can bring our hands to the mat. Stepping back, right foot, then left into down dog or child's pose if we need to stay with that option. Inhale, plank, knees up or down. Exhale, crocodile. Inhale, dropping the hips and lifting the heart, letting the shoulder blades draw back. Cobra or Sphinx if you need elbow support. Exhale, lifting up and back. Downward facing dog. Here's an option if you want to try it. We extend the right leg behind us, squeezing the glute to help lift the leg. We bend the right knee and then open the knee to the side. Three-leg dog with a nice little hip stretch there. And then as we're ready, whether we're in this three-leg pose or not, we'll step our right foot out to the outside of our right hand. Let's drop our left knee. Let's bring our block, if we need it, to the inside of our right foot. And helping that right foot up, we want the ankle directly beneath the knee so that the knee does not go beyond the toes. So nice 90-degree angle there. If we need the knee back a little bit more, that's okay too. So we have our block for support if we need it. So it's easy to want to kind of bring the hips sideways. Let's square the hips to the front. We press the top of our left foot down into the mat. We press straight down with our right foot, even weight distribution between our feet. And as we inhale, we bring our hands to heart center. Activating both glutes. Maybe we have a little bit more tuck we need to make on that tailbone. That lift through the spine, Feeling that nice stretch on the inside of our left hip flexor. Maybe we lift the heart even higher. If we know we have a tight chest, we sit rounded a lot, we can bring our elbows out to the side, dropping the elbows, dropping the arms, getting that nice stretch into the front of the chest. At the same time, we're getting a stretch in hip flexor. Still breathing. And exhale. Bring our hands back to the block. If we choose, we take our left hand on the block, the right hand, like we're tucking it into our back hip pocket, and we exhale, twisting towards our right. So a twisting lunge. Again, it's an option. Maybe we stay with the hand in our pocket. If we can stack shoulder over shoulder, then we bring our hand up and reaching towards the ceiling. Still breathing, wherever we are, and exhale back to center. Setting the block aside, hands on the mat. Let's lift the back leg, stepping up into forward fold. Can we tell a difference in the feel of our legs at this point? I hear a couple sighs. Inhale, lifting up into mountain. Exhale, chair. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Stepping back left foot, then right foot, down dog or child's pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, crocodile. Inhale, cobra or sphinx, whatever we need to be. Exhale, pushing up and back, down dog. If we choose, we have the option for three-leg dog. We extend the left leg behind us, bending the knee, opening the hip. Did you hear mine clap? Wow. And when we're ready, wherever we are, we sweep the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Then drop our right knee, bring the block to the inside of the foot. Help that foot up if we need to. We want to make sure that the knee is above or behind the ankle. Squaring the hips to the front. Pressing the top of our right foot down into the mat. Same strength for pressing our left foot. When we're ready, if we choose, inhaling upright hands to the heart. Maybe we tuck the hips a little bit more, firming the glutes. Feeling that stretch in our right hip flexor. Maybe we stay here. Maybe we can reach, lifting the heart, opening the chest. Breathing into the space. You keep breathing while I fix the music. Don't know what has happened. There we go. And dropping back down. And if we choose, we can stay here. We can go into that twisting lunge again. We can take our left hand, like we're going to tuck it into our back pocket. Our right hand is on the block or on the mat. And as we exhale with a long spine, we twist to our left. So if we can stack shoulder over shoulder, then we have the option to extend our left arm. Wherever we need to be. Breathing into the space, even in twist. And exhale, coming back to center. Setting the block aside, lifting the back knee, stepping up into forward fold. Inhale as we push the floor away from us, coming up into mountain. Exhale, chair. And inhale, mountain. Opening the heart. Bring the hands behind us like we're holding that beach ball again, holding it as low as we can. Lifting the shoulders, not the shoulders, the heart, dropping the shoulders. Maybe we bring the fist to the low back, just above the hip bones. A little extra support there as we drop the elbows and draw them towards each other. We let the head relax back, opening the chest even more. And release. How do we feel, ladies? Feeling good? And you think are still hanging. I love it. We're going to come back to the mat, so I'm going to scoot over here again a little bit more. So back to the mat, and we're going to do a nice quad stretch called bow. So we'll do half bow. And we'll be using our strap. So yoga straps are wonderful if you've never used one and you have access to one, always have one handy, because sometimes we just have an off day. Whether we think we have the flexibility or not, we go to reach and we're not there that day. So the strap suddenly becomes an extension of that limb, so that we can still get into the pose and hold the pose without overstraining and maybe moving something else a little wonky. So we're going to, some people like making the loop with the end of it. I don't always take the time to do that, but we want to start by bringing the strap around the right foot. Might have to do the loop depending on how long your limbs are. That's okay. So make a loop if we need to. Then we come down onto our bellies. So I got the strap along our right side. Let's bring our left forearm in front of us. And rest our forehead on the forearm. And so we're going to press the tops of our feet into the mat. Lift the belly up. Engage the core. And then taking the strap in our right hand, we're going to just pull the strap over the shoulder and then using both hands, just kind of walk the hands up that strap, doing that nice stretch. Are you feeling it yet? Your expression says a lot. So if that's not working, and you have the leg length or the arm length and the flexibility, you can reach back and grasp the foot with your hand. That's another option. If we're grasping the foot in the hand, we want to push the foot into the hand and the hand into the foot. And if we find that it's just too tight, we're not getting very far, we can make this a moving stretch, very dynamic stretch. So using the strap, we can let the leg back down and then pull the strap back over. Nice little pull, got that stretch, let the leg back down. So we can just walk in and out with that dynamic stretch a little bit if we need to, especially if our quads are very tight after a workout. So wherever we need to be, breathing into it as always. And thinking about keeping the heel in alignment with the knee and alignment with the hip. And right now my toe is pointed. I'm feeling the stretch in the quad. I think all of yours are pointed. So play around with it. Now flex the ankle. And bring it in. And feel that stretch a little differently with the heel pushing up and the ankle flex. Wherever we are, let's release. Pushing up and back into child's pose, rounding out the lower back a moment. And then switching sides if we're using the strap. Coming back onto our belly, the strap is around our left foot and along our left side. We have our right forearm in front of us. Pressing the tops of both feet into the mat. And then drawing the strap over our left shoulder, walking our hands up the length of the strap. If we have the arm length and the flexibility, we can reach back and hold the foot with our hand if we choose. If we need to move and make it a dynamic stretch, we let the leg back down, we pull the strap up. Lift the leg back down. We pull the strap up. So we're not letting the muscles do any work. We're pulling with the strap and we're making it dynamic. Bring movement into it. We are still breathing, correct? Still lifting the belly off of the floor. Holding that stretch. Breathing into it. And releasing, pressing up and back into child's pose. Bringing the knees wide, the toes towards each other, and just noticing, is our pose different from the first time we came into it? Are we sinking a little deeper? Have our hips softened a little bit? Just take a note. Celebrating the progress, remembering it's not perfection, it's progress that we are after. Letting our breath sink us deeper as we breathe in and out. And then sitting up, swinging the feet around, coming to seated. Taking the strap, bringing the strap around both feet. So the feet are distance apart. We want to push the heels forward. We want to sit tall. So it's easy to sit already with a lean in it. We want to take lean out. So that means we have a bend in our knee. That's okay. Just lets us know where we might need to focus some of our attention to maybe stretching his hamstrings more regularly. So sitting tall, shoulders relaxed down and back, and we're not bicep curling our way into this. We don't want tension to the point where we're feeling muscles engage that we don't want to engage. So we're using the strap as a guide. And one of the ways I like to do that, push my heels forward. I don't move my hand up and down the strap, but I kind of bring my arm out. And as I do that, my upper body comes forward. Does that make sense?
I think so.
So it's just enough tension that it's not falling. But if I were to pull, you would definitely feel that difference as to where if I just kind of bring the strap a little bit wider and just keep the same distance in my arms and my torso and just let the hip hinge happen. So the tailbone kind of scoots out from under me and pushes towards the wall behind me as my legs straighten and I push my heels forward. So technically this is a seated forward fold because if I were to pick you up and put you on your feet, what would you look like? A standing forward fold. But
Did you see our knees are bent?
if they need to be, if they need to be. Sometimes it just is not going to happen to go straight. We don't want them locked. So keeping it upright. And then we come in and out of it. We feel in that hamstring stretch a little bit. And then releasing the strap, coming back up. Hands under the thighs, rolling onto our back, moving into everybody's favorite part, final relaxation. Hugging the knees in. Maybe we rock side to side, rolling up the low back. Maybe we bring our knees or our feet back down to the mat, keeping the knees bent. Perfectly okay if we do that. If the back feels uncomfortable, and the low back feels like it's wanting to work a little bit, we can always slide our hands under our hips to give a little extra support. Or we can place the block underneath our hips and settle onto the block. Maybe our hips are telling us they need a little more stretch. So we can open the knees and bring the soles of the feet together in a lying down butterfly. Let gravity do the work of the knees dropping to the mat. Let the hips stretch, very passive stretch here. Or maybe we extend the legs long, arms at our side. Wherever we are, closing the eyes. Allowing the muscles in our forehead to soften. Allowing the neck to release, the shoulders to melt into the mat, the arms growing ahead to their side, facing forward. We feel the gentle rise and fall of our chest and abdomen with every breath. Our breath returning to a more normal pace. We feel the hips soften, letting go a little bit more as the knees turn out and the legs fall out. And as we breathe in, we let that breath travel deep into the lungs. We let it move into the body, grasping any remaining pockets of tension or stress or worry. And as we breathe out, we allow that to leave our body with our breath. And every breath deep, every breath in, every breath out, we find ourselves sinking deeper and deeper into the mat, completely and totally relaxed. And with our next breath, we we start bringing gentle awareness back into the body. Wiggling fingers and toes, maybe rotating wrists and ankles, maybe turning the head side to side. And hugging the knees into the chest. Stretch out that low back again. Maybe we rock side to side again. And then we turn onto one side, cradling our head in our arm. Eyes remaining closed as we continue breathing. And then as we're ready, we gently press ourselves up to seated. Legs comfortably crossed, hands relaxed in our lap. And taking one more deep breath together, let's inhale the arms up, overhead, palms meeting at the top, and as we exhale, we bring our hands to heart center. Thank you so much for practicing with me this evening. Thank you both for trying something new. Thank you for coming back. Sandy, thank you for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful evening.